evening, everyone. Welcome to the Courtside View, where we discuss pertinent and relevant NBA topics. Joining tonight's show is the one, the only, Kuminga. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, Con. What's going on, man?
I am the con man filling in for Chris Robinson. So we're still going to do the damn thing. You know, Chris took the time to develop some topics for tonight's show. So I figured we'd give it a go. And of course, Cool, you being the man that you are, you can fill in and want to give up any of your topics you want to talk about. We can do that as well. But one of the first topics I want to discuss was the All-Star. All-Stars will be announced Monday. Who do you have as your starters?
That's a tough one.
I know.
Really tough. Kind of coming out the gate firing. I'm gonna buy myself a few minutes to think about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell y'all why it's tough. There's been some very good individual performances. There's been some very good team performances, with a certain person leading. That's, different teams. But man, there's been a lot of good players playing well this year. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. I know we're back to East versus West, so I'm trying to think of everybody, from the East. Man, it's hard. Boy. So let's see. Let's try to break this down by position. See if that helps. So, So I think you've got certain people that are going to be there. You got certain people who, due to injury, just can't be there anymore. So, man, you got to put Giannis in, right, in the East. Giannis is Giannis. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, man. Guard is hard. Boy, guard is real hard.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, before we go to guard, though, you got to put in Jaylen Brown. Like, I don't care what else you do, but Jaylen Brown has to be an all-star. If Jaylen Brown is not an MVP candidate as well as an all-star, then everybody who votes on MVP and all-star should be fired, even fans, and replaced.
Are tested.
And tested afterwards, because they clearly are doing some sort of substance. So that's going to be my two, let's say, post players, right? Because you know how the All-Star game is now. You get two quote-unquote post players and then wings. So wings is the question. You got, I guess I just do it like this. Cade Cunningham. You look at that Detroit Pistons team. Without Cade Cunningham, they're definitely not the best team in the East. You know what I'm saying? They're definitely not where they are. So I gotta put Cade Cunningham in there. Once you do that, you only leave two more wing spots. We know it's voting. Tyrese Maxey's been a sexy pick the last couple of years. So I think this is going to be a year where he actually break through. So then you got Maxey, Brown, Giannis, Cunningham. Oh, boy. Several people deserving. But I got to pick somebody for that last spot in the East. Oh, man. I'm going to go Donovan Mitchell over, I would say, Jalen Brunson. Those are the two I was thinking about. And the reason I'm going to go Donovan Mitchell is we need somebody on the eastern side who's not a point guard. And Maxey will score, but if you put Jalen Brunson, Maxey, and Cunningham in there, you don't have a dog finisher. I think Mitchell will put points on the board, and you're going to need that against the squad I'm going to pick from the West. So for me, I know that Nikola Jokic is going to get picked, right? Because of Nikola Jokic. But I'm going to remove him due to injury. Because if you're hurt, you can't really play. And if you can't really play, then even if you're picked to start, someone else is going to have to start for you. So Western Conference, of course, we're going to go with Luka Doncic. Lucky Donkey, as my boy called him, always makes it. We'll put Jokic as like a injured starter, so we still got to pick somebody to replace him. Of course, you got Wembanyama. Of course, you got your reigning MVP, SGA. It's your first guard. You got Stephen Curry. So you got Stephen Curry, SGA, and Lucky Donkey, or Luka Doncic. That's your 3 guards. So now you got to look. It's a big man. I hate that I got to leave off Anthony Edwards, but it would be hard for me to replace either one of those 3 guys with Anthony Edwards. So you suffer from being in the West, basically. Because were you in the East, you'd probably start. But you suffer from being in the West and it being so guard heavy. Boy. We got one big in Wembanyama. We got Doncic. We got Curry. We got SGA. So now we need another big. If you're hurt, I ain't putting you in. So that takes out AD. LeBron, you could always try to make the argument for LeBron. He may make it off popularity. But I'm actually going to pick KD as my last starter.
Those are very good choices. Those are very good. I got no complaint.
It took a minute, but it was tough. Put me on the spot.
Out of East, I picked Brunson and Maxey. I went with Giannis, and I went with Cade, and of course I went with Jaylen Brown. Even though I don't like the Boston teams, but you got to go with he's had a phenomenal year. And we'll talk about him as far as his MVP coming on up. As far as the West, I'm with you all the way. I have Luka Jokic, although, like you said, he's injured. But if I had to go with someone, it would probably be KD or Sengun. One of them. One of them. At least one of them. And then, of course, I got Edwards and, of course, SGA. So, but again, we'll find out Monday. But one thing I do want to say, I know the coaches pick the reserves. One thing I will say, I want to get your opinion on this, Cool. And not because you're sitting there, but I'm going to keep it real with you. I think Murray deserves to be an All-Star. What is your opinion on that?
I think he's deserved it for a couple of years. But this year, I would say maybe a little bit more than others just because of injuries and how he's been the consistent guy for Denver. It's hard when you've got the reigning consistent, really, in my opinion, reigning MVP in Jokic right there. Yeah. Right? Because, I don't have a problem with you giving it to SGA last year, but let's be honest. Jokic is just as important, if not more, to his team. True. So, but with him being hurt, him being out, and the Nuggets still staying above water, you have to give the love to Murray because there was a point where he was the only starter.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We still were in games and winning games. So I think with everything that's happened, if he's going to be an all-star in his career, this is the year. If he's not an all-star this year, I don't think we're going to see Jamal Murray be an all-star unless he outlasts some guys and he gets one of them a couple of years where like, okay, you've been around, you an OG now, we're going to put you in. But if he's going to get it near his prime, this is going to have to be the year.
I agree with you, Coop. For the simple fact, with Jokic being out, he kind of carried the team on his shoulders, you know what I mean? So I think he's going to get it. And then with Denver, playing, like you said, above water. So I think, would be his year. And, he's a little healthy, which I'm happy to see as well. So I hope that he does get an opportunity to play in the All-Star game because, as you said, he deserves it as well. Okay, this is another one. This is by my boy Chris. With another injury, will the Mavs be able to trade AD? Part one. Part two. What team do you see him going to? And do you see any other trades happening, such as Kuminga, Zubac, or Ayton?
I could see. Whew, Chris, that's a lot. That's a lot in two parts of the question. So, I'm gonna say, I could see AD getting traded. I think there's a couple of different places that could use AD. Right. I think. Now, hear me out. This one would be very interesting. Milwaukee is a place that could use AD. And I'm gonna tell you why. You put AD and Giannis together. Giannis likes to be down low anyway. That's where he prefers to operate. And you got AD, Bobby Portis. What's my man from the Pacers that went there, the center? You get a nice 4 big rotation down there. Those 4 dudes.
Miles Turner.
Yeah, Miles Turner. I couldn't think of his name. Thanks, sir. Yeah, Miles Turner. That's a good, nice little rotation. And that's going to give you a lot of firepower to bang. And there's not anybody that can handle that 4-man rotation. The question would be who starts. I don't think AD would care about being the 6th man on that team and coming off the bench with Portis. Portis would play the 5. Of course, AD don't want to play no 5. So I think that might be an intriguing, probably not a realistic destination, but an intriguing one. Atlanta's been after him for a while. Chicago's been after him for a while. What up, Cass? Cass, like, no. Well, you gotta look at Milwaukee want to make a move and add some more scoring punch to the team. And AD, he is gonna be hurt, so half the time he's probably not gonna play. But if you can get him right for the playoffs, get him on that team, he could make a big difference for that team moving up in the East. Atlanta, I think, is again another good one. Chicago's been after him for a while. These are teams that could use and benefit from having him, not just renting him for the rest of this year, but could implement him into what they're doing for the next couple of years. If you're Dallas, I don't think you want to trade him out west. Maybe they don't care, but I'm a firm believer in I'm not trading a guy that's on my team in my conference. You going to the other side. Orlando doesn't mind giving up some pieces. He might can make a big difference there as well. Of course, there's always Miami because Miami always looking for stars. It's really about what I would think for me. Now, if I was going to pick a team out west and say AD gets traded to another team out west, oh man. I mean, you could make a package with him with Kuminga and trade him to the Warriors, or you can do a package with Jared Jackson Jr., with Memphis, maybe. A couple places like that. Clippers like an old beat up player, so there's always them. So just a couple other options.
I definitely agree with you. That would be a good fit. But the only dilemma is Anthony Davis just recently signed a 3-year, $176 million contract, $58 million per year. And although he got his new shoe out, I'm sure you saw his new shoe he got out. He's always injury prone, and I think that's going to be. I don't know how many teams would take another chance on someone who's always injury prone. And everything you said was true, cool. I don't see those teams wanting to take a chance on a guy who's never there. That's the only, everything you said was cool, but I just don't see a team going to give up all that. And then with the teams being in the second apron, that makes it even more difficult to make trades. That's why the NBA don't like doing trades. But anyway, I hear what you're saying. That would be great if that could happen. if he could stay healthy. But I don't know what my man, he got that injury syndrome. I just don't know.
Yeah, he missed the glass. But the thing is though, if you could bring in an AD, right, and you're a fringe playoff team, or you're a team that has always coveted him. If you're a fringe playoff team and you bring in AD, yeah, he's gonna miss games. He got the hand situation, that's gonna keep him out for a few weeks. We already know AD's AD, but if you can get him right for the playoffs, the play-in and the playoffs, AD can make a big difference for a team. You just have to be able to understand what you're getting. You're getting a guy that's not gonna play every game, but you're getting a guy that you want to say, hey, your hand hurt, your ankle hurt, your knee hurt, don't play on it. Sit. When it stops hurting, we'll reinsert you. If that's a month, if that's 2 months, because we're not worried about getting you for the regular season. We can handle being a top 10 team in the regular season without you. We're looking at you to come in semi-healthy for the playoffs and help us go deep in the playoffs. That's why I say, like, certain teams, if you notice, I didn't name anybody outside of the top 10. Because if he can go to a team that can weather the storm until he's healthy, then he could be integrated and help them in the playoffs. That's who should trade for Anthony Davis. If you need him to play in the regular season, don't trade for him. Constance 1,000% right. Do not trade for Anthony Davis expecting him to play a lot of games in the regular season. Trade for Anthony Davis for the stretch in February after the AllStar game and the playoffs. That's when you're looking to have Anthony Davis. Not right now.
Now, cool. Okay, you said to trade him to those teams that are in the top 10. What are those teams willing to give up in order to get an Anthony Davis?
It's going to have to be a mix of players and draft picks for most teams. So Golden State, for instance, Kuminga wants out so bad. Jonathan Kuminga wants out so bad. So you're going to include Kuminga in the package if you're bringing in Anthony Davis. You got to make the salaries match. So you're probably going to have to include somebody else and then at least one first-round pick. A lot of the other teams may be multiple picks and a player because you got to make salaries work. So you got to include a couple players. If he wasn't hurt, I truly believe Anthony Davis would be on the Atlanta Hawks because I think they were going to do a package around CJ McCollum, Sam McCollum, and some other stuff in a three-way deal. But because of the hand injury, I think they may have hesitated because Atlanta believes they have a chance to do something this year. And that's okay. I don't blame them for that. But you got to understand, Davis is, again, down the stretch, playoff guy. If you don't think you're going to make the playoffs, do not waste your time picking up a guy that's going to probably be a month before he plays. Probably going to be after the AllStar break before Anthony Davis hits the floor again. But when he does, he already got his injury out the way this year. We know it's going to be at least one. It's already out the way. So you're expecting him to be there for the remainder of the season and the playoffs.
Cool. That's why you're so damn good on this show because, your knowledge is exceptional. Now, you have an individual's name that we got to bring up, Kuminga. His name keeps coming up. I know people are getting sick and tired of hearing it. But what is your take on Kuminga? Why isn't he playing? Should he be playing? Is he a fit? Is he not? And if he's not, why not get rid of him? Why did you sign him to an extension at the beginning of the year? And then if you remember, when Golden State was hurt a little bit, he came through a little bit. What should he do if you were him? Because right now he's laying low. He ain't causing no havoc right now. But it becomes trade deadline. And because from what I understand, Kerr wants him out. Ownership wants him there. That's why they haven't made the trade. From what I understand, I don't know. So if he's still on the roster after the trade deadline, what's your take on that?
So my thing is, I agree with what you're hearing. I think that's the case because you can see he's re-signed because Steve Kerr can have his say, but he doesn't affect who's on that roster, right? They can sign who they want, but he affects who plays, and you can see he doesn't want Kuminga there, and Kuminga doesn't want to play for him,
right?
I don't think he knows how to relate to these young players. I think that once Steph and Draymond and those guys are gone, if Steve Kerr stays with that team, you're going to see epic drop-off from Golden State. Because, again, you have to be able to relate to the young men that you're coaching. And Steve Kerr is doing a piss-poor job of relating to people in this younger generation of NBA players. The decision has to be Golden State's. Is Kerr going to stay for the next 3-4 years? If so, we might as well get rid of Kuminga. If Kerr's at the end of his line, maybe we ride one more year and then, hey, Kerr, Steph is leaving. Draymond's probably going to be gone. And you can go too. Because I'll be honest with you, from all the young guys who've been through there, they don't want to play for Kerr. And if nobody wants to play for him, who's he going to coach?
That's true. That's true.
So I think it just depends on if for Kuminga, it depends on the organization. Is the organization going to stay committed to Kerr for the next 3-4 years? Or is the organization going to say, it's probably your last ride with us if we don't go deep and almost win a championship this year at Golden State? If that's the case, I would hold on to Kuminga because I think he's a good piece when he plays. He's like a running back in basketball. Let me explain what I mean by that. He's a guy that needs reps. He needs to be on the floor to play well. He can't not play for 2 or 3 games, show up and play well right away. He needs to be in the games. He needs reps. He needs shots. He needs to get banged around. He needs to run the floor. He's that type of player. So can he be a piece for the Golden State Warriors or any team in the league? He absolutely can be a piece for any team in the league. But you've got to want him there, and you've got to give him time to play in every game.
Again, cool. Yeah, exactly right. And here's a team that wants him. And as a player, you want to go where you want to and maybe what you're needing. The perfect fit for him, I think, would be Sacramento. I just think Sacramento, they want him bad. And maybe they can utilize his talents, develop his game. Right now, the stigma on him is he doesn't have a three-point shot, a very effective three-point shot. So I don't know. But I think that might be a good fit. Or like you said, any team that is in the top 10 that could use a player like that, I think that would be a great move because he does have talent. He's young, he has talent. And
a team that I think he really could be very effective on. And this means that a certain person is going to get moved when they return. But he would be great in Boston. Him with Jaylen Brown. And that means that somebody is going to be moved when they're healthy next year. But I think this Jaylen Brown's team now, you can't ask Jaylen Brown to go back on that team to be in the number 2 guy anymore. After this season, you cannot.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Bring him in at number 2 and get rid of that number 1 that don't show up, but to pad the stat line. Because Jason Tatum is a really great overall player. But Jason Tatum does his best work when the game is decided one way or the other. That's when he gets them big games. You don't have a lot of big games of Jason Tatum when the game is on the line. That's Jaylen Brown. Now, I'm not saying he's never done it. I'm not saying he can't do. He's incapable. I'm just saying it is what it is. And Jaylen is balling as long as his haircut rubbing off people. So you know what? Keep putting your black dye in there, rubbing on people's jerseys, and keep balling, Jaylen Brown. Keep balling, bro.
Oh man. All right. Cool. What team has been the most surprising for you this year? And what team has been the most disappointing?
Surprising I gotta go with Detroit. There's other options, but I gotta go with Detroit, bro. Like Detroit? You kidding me? Number 1. They've been number 1 the whole year in the East. You kidding me? You can't tell me anybody expected Detroit to be there. You can't tell me. Anybody look in my face except for Pistons fans. I'll give a special mention to the number 2 team in the East, the Boston Celtics. Nobody expected them to be that good without Jason Tatum because people saw it out. Jason Tatum was the reason why they won. Remember, in the NBA Finals, in the playoffs, who was the MVP? It wasn't Jason Tatum. It was Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
The media light-skinned lovers made Jason Tatum the guy. It was always Jaylen Brown. And you see it now.
I do agree with you. Out of the East, I'm definitely going with the Celtics or Detroit. I kind of did feel the way Detroit ended the regular season last year that they had potential for this year. And I did not expect, like a lot of people didn't expect Boston to come out the way they did, because they felt that without Tatum, they were going to fall apart, and they got rid of the three people who were part of the championship team. So a lot of expectations were minimal, especially out here in the Boston area. I mean, they were minimal. So I would have to go with the Celtics. And out of the West, you know who is really surprising me?
I'll tell you who's surprising. Who you say?
Phoenix Suns.
I was about to say the same team. So I was about to say
the Phoenix Suns. I mean, they got rid of Durant, and then they have really surprised. And I think they're 22-17. I think that
24-17. They in 7th place.
Yeah, I tell you what, they definitely have put a surprise on me. I did not expect to come. Now, who is your most disappointing team?
I'm gonna give you one more team that's surprising me before I give you my most.
Okay.
The Portland Trail Blazers at number 9. They're in the play-in right now. Portland has been
decimated. I know.
Terrible and decimated, and now we're getting a team that can, at least hang on, be right there. 20 wins already, 2 losses away from being 500, or 2 games away from being 500. 7-3 in the last 10 games. This is a Portland team that's balling, and to be able to say that based on how they've normally played, that's real crazy.
And cool. They got that guy coming back after the AllStar game. I'm just saying.
Yep.
That could be a great addition as well.
So my most disappointing team is probably no surprise. It's a team that I feel like the coach is inept. As inept as Kevin Petullo was for the Philadelphia Eagles this year as the OC. And that's Memphis Grizzlies.
Oh, man.
You got Jaren Jackson Jr. still there. You got Ja Morant still there. Several other pieces. And we're hearing rumors about them trying to trade those pieces because they don't fit a coach's philosophy, who should already be fired. I'm sorry. That team is playing like that. Your stars don't want to play for you. And instead of getting rid of the problem, you're going to trade the stars? Hey, if I'm Ja Morant, I'm asking the team, can my agent reach out to teams? I'm finding me a trade. I'm getting out of there. If I'm Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm doing the same thing. Maybe me and Ja can find a real garbage team to go play on together and make them better. Because you know what the fact of the matter is? It doesn't matter who you bring to Memphis. As long as you got that coach, the team is going to be trash. And for the organization, for the management, general manager, all that, to not see the ownership, to not see that the problem is you don't have a coach that can coach these guys that they respect, that's a problem. And that's very disappointing, not just on the basketball level, but just on the common sense level.
I agree, because the coach and player rapport gotta be on point, and if it ain't, there's gonna be issues, and that's why they're having so many problems. Matter of fact, they interviewed Ja the other night, and they were asking him about if he thinks he's gonna be traded, and Ja was, like, "Why are you asking me? Did you ask anybody else?" And so, I mean, it don't look good. I mean, it don't look for me. Right now, it don't look good. So I don't know what's going to happen by the trade deadline, but it don't look good. Now, but something you definitely brought up earlier, I want to get into that as well. Is Jaylen Brown an MVP candidate?
Heck yeah.
And why would you say that?
Second in the West, the East, sir. Second in the East. And if they ain't got Jaylen Brown, who they got? Who's there? Man, this dude is out here balling. He by the hairline. I'm not saying play level, but by the hairline, he's out there balling like first ball than Mike. Remember Mike was first going ball?
Yes.
Like you had Mike balling, but then when Mike started going ball, when MJ started going ball, he hit another level. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron, maybe you should just go ahead and let it go. Maybe you hit another level. But MJ was like, hey, it's done. I'm bald. It's gone. And when he cut it, he got aerodynamic.
I have to agree with you. I mean, he's averaging 29.5 points a game, almost 7 rebounds a game, 5 assists. I mean, he's taking on that leadership role now. He's doing things that because that other guy was there, Tatum, that he kind of took a back seat. And you know something, I never thought about it, but when you brought it up, it's going to be happening to go back to a number 2. There could be some problems there because the way he's balling right now, and like you said, with the record that they have, I mean, it's going to be an issue when Tatum comes back. Could be a problem.
If you were to bring in Kuminga and then put Tatum on the market when he's healthy, make that trade, get you some assets back for Tatum, bring in Kuminga.
But again, Tatum is the second most paid player in the NBA behind Brown.
True. But see, so you have to get some sort of relief from the salary cap if the guy's out injured, because you gotta have to have the other people. I don't know exactly how that works, but I feel like you can't tell me I gotta carry his salary in my books when he's probably gonna be out this entire season. I get he got to get paid. I'm not saying he don't get paid. These are billionaire owners or billionaire governors, because they don't want to use the owner word because that's slave mentality. Not the stuff they do, but the word. But that's a whole other conversation. But you want to have a guy that can come in and play right now. So why not allow them to say, okay, we got to pay him, but we're not going to punish them for making moves to try to get better while this guy's out. But when he comes back, he's got to go back on the books if he's still on the team. I don't know how the inner workings work with the NBA and the CBA, but that should be how things go when it's a guy that's not going to play at all. Now, if he's going to be back that season, I get it. But Jason Tatum is probably not playing at all this year with that injury late in the season last year. So,
I need to interrupt you, but what they're saying out here, all the Boston channels, that he could be back in March.
Man, my thing is this. Do you want him back in March? Probably 75%, because ain't no way he's gonna be healed from that Achilles injury.
Right. That's true.
Or do you want to let him fully heal?
Want him fully healed, of course.
Because let's go to NFL. Let's come right down here to Charlotte. Kid that they had pushed to have him come back too early from Achilles injury, Jonathan Brooks. Torn again. Had to have another surgery. Is that what you want for Jason Tatum? Do you want to err on the side of caution with a guy that's worth that much on your team or not? Or do you want to try to rush him back, mess up your chemistry?
Kind of like what Golden State did with Durant when he hurt his ankle. Kind of like that. Kind of like the Indiana guy there, trying to rush him back. And he got hurt, by the way, as soon as he got back. So I definitely agree with you on that. But it's going to be interesting, though. You made a good point. And I hope people realize this, that Brown is not going to be able to accept that number 2 role. not anytime soon, the way he's playing right now, the way the Celtics are balling right now. And, it's going to be, I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen with that. And here's another thing. Here's another topic that I definitely want to get your feedback on, Coop. Rich Paul said to trade Austin Reaves for J.J. Jackson. Is that a good move? And should Rich say things like that?
So I'm going to answer the second part first. That's a resounding no. Rich Paul, zipper. You don't need to be, as an agent, you don't need to be discussing anything about player movement. The first part I'll answer as well, no. Jerry Jackson Jr. is a good big man, but the way Austin Reaves is playing with Luka Doncic, and we know LeBron's on his last legs. Like, he's had a great fight, but this man can't keep playing. Right? At his age, he got to be on his last legs. So Austin Reaves and Luka Doncic were dominating together until Austin Reaves got hurt. So why would you trade Robin for a guy that may or may not fit in what they're doing in LA? it's like, oh, he's big, athletic black man. We're gonna trade for him. Why? Just because he's talented doesn't mean he's gonna fit what you're trying to do. You've got a good mix right now. And you're gonna go try to change it. Why?
You know, I kind of agree with you. My take is this. Rich Paul is LeBron's agent. He is not Reaves' agent. And if you're going to go on a podcast and talk about another player like that, when that's not really under your jurisdiction, that's kind of like tampering. So right there is one. And I don't know if it's a good or great idea for sports agents to have podcasts and go on and talk about stuff that they really don't have control because that's not their client. Do you know what I mean? I think that's even his client, LeBron, had a back off on that. Right now, you got Luka leading the league in scoring at, I think, 34 points a game. And before Reaves got hurt, he was averaging 26. I mean, and beyond that, you know as well as I know, Reaves was undrafted. So you know them people love him. You know what I'm saying? He's well loved in the LA area. So they ain't gonna go down that quick. But I think it's causing controversy amongst the team because Rich Paul, who happens to be LeBron's agent, might be causing some rift that might not, that's not necessary. And you not being Reaves' agent, that's not your concern.
Yeah, and keep in mind, LeBron his last year because the new ownership didn't give him another 1 year deal with a 7 year option.
It's true. It's true. You know, cool. Right now, I gave you Chris gave us some difficult questions to answer. You handled them all. Is there any topics you want to bring up?
I would. There may be one or two things. So I'll ask this question to you, Con Man.
Uh-oh.
Today's NBA players. Who reminds you more of an old school type game?
Good question. Who reminds me?
I'll make it a little easier, sir. Give me your top 5 all old school starting lineup.
Man, you're killing me, cool. I go back 50 years, bro. That's gonna be a tough one.
Of current players.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, of current players. Your top 5 old school style of current players. Your top starting 5.
Okay. I think I can roll with that. Okay.
I believe you can, sir. You're the perfect person for this question.
No, I don't know about that. I have to think about that. You hit me with a good one. Old school. That reminds me of old school. You know, if I look back and I think, I would say gods, I would probably go with like a Holiday or a Brunson type point, tough guard, hard nose, shooting guard, of course, would be well, even though back in the old days they didn't shoot that way Steph does. But you know, someone like that in the old days we didn't have the 3-point line. So I would have to probably go with a Brunson type player that's hardcore, tough, high nose player. I should okay for my 2. You know what? SGA, because he has the mid-range game, which reminds me a lot of players back in the day because they had mid-range game because they really didn't shoot the 3-point as much as they do now. Now, for my bigs or my forwards, I like the way you got someone like now you're going to go someone who's athletic because I'm thinking like a Dominique Wilkins type. I'm thinking like, a Jordan type. I can go way back. I'm trying to, I'm gonna go. Man, it's a tough question. So many play. I'm gonna go. I don't want to take up too much time. So that's a good damn question. I think. I'll tell you who I like, who does remind me during of the Detroit Pistons. That definitely reminds me of someone old school. I got one more. And I have to go center. A lot of these centers right now are so athletic. They really weren't as athletic back in the day, but who was effective? Who played a lot? Who was more consistent? God, give me 1 second. I know you're gonna get me on this one, but and then I'm gonna be like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm gonna go one more, then we'll go on to what you gotta say. I'm probably gonna have to go big man. I gotta go Western Conference. Eastern Conference.
Maybe I have to be a big man from the West. Ain't no.
Okay, no. You know what? I think that's a tough one because the players today are not like the players of my era and all that. So it's really hard because they're more athletic. They don't play as hard, but they have more ability. So it's kind of hard for me to relate to it. But I'll give you one more quick one. Just go off the top of my head so we can find out with your picks are. I'm gonna go with Jokic.
I'm also gonna go with Jokic for my center. I'm gonna go with Giannis for my power forward. I am going to go Scotty Barnes for my 3.
Oh, like good one.
I am going to cheat a little bit because I want to include him. I'm going to put Jaylen Brown at my shooting guard.
Who's going to do that?
Yes. Because, I mean, he could play shooting guard. And I feel like, especially with him kind of taking over as the guy, he could be the shooting guard. A special shout out, Paolo Banchero. I like his game as well. Even though he went to Duke. I ain't going to hate on him for going to Duke as an old school type cat. Point guard is where it can get a little tricky. But for the sake of going a different way, I'm going to go with a guy that's probably going to be on the AllStar team this year. I'm going to go with Tyrese Maxey.
I can't blame him. He's one of my favorite players. He's having a hell of a year. And, I like about him, he plays defense. He busts behind on defense as well. He's a hardcore.
Everybody that I chose, you can argue Jokic not as much just because of athleticism. Play defense. If you don't play defense, you can't be on the old school team. You can't be on the all old school starting 5. You don't play defense. Got to play defense.
We only got about 10 minutes remaining, but I want to ask you, Koo, because it's a big topic and we argue about it. I want to get your take. They got this rule about in order to achieve any of the postseason awards, you have to play a minimum of 65 games. And now it's getting a lot of heat. The reason why we know, because they want to limit load management and try to have the players play. And then the players, well, I'll give you your take, then I'll give you mine. What do you think about that?
I agree with it because you have to change with the league. Now you've got a whole bunch of people who don't want to play. They want to play one day, take a day off, whatever. Now get back-to-back suck, but guess what? It's your job. You work, I work. Do I get to go to my job one day and then say, you know what? I'm going to work today, but I ain't going to work tomorrow because, we just worked today. So I'll come in and chill for a few hours, but I ain't working 2 days in a row. I get it. It's physically strenuous. It's not a apples to apples comparison. It's like an apples to orange, but logically speaking, the days that you're scheduled to work, you work. You don't say, I'm scheduled today, but I'm not going to take time off. I'm not going to work today. Because essentially what they're doing, they're still getting paid. Right. So I don't have a problem with you having to play a certain amount of games. And then people say, like, oh, well, what about injuries? Hey, it doesn't matter why you're not there. You're not there. Like people say, oh, yeah, but I know you changed your mind now because Jokic can't win MVP because he's hurt. Shouldn't have got hurt. I mean, it is what it is. It's not just for this group or that group. It's across the board. And it does make sense because, again, we got this load management in the NBA now. So in the load management league, you have to set a line in the sand and say, look, you're going to not play when you don't feel like playing. That's cool, but you're not winning awards. If you get hurt, that's unfortunate. You miss the games. You can't get an award either, but it is what it is.
Now, being a devil's advocate, not necessarily that I believe this, but the comeback is they instituted this rule prior to beginning of last season, and it really has no effect on injuries because players are still getting injured, so it has no effect. Number one. Number two, sometimes, devil's advocate now, some players feel rushed to come back in order to get to that 65 and then get hurt even more. So, I mean, like you said,
So my response to that be very simple. Except for a handful of NBA players, I'm not going to take the time to name them, but y'all know who they are. Most guys want to play.
Of course.
Right? So it doesn't matter if they're hurt or not. They want to play. So it's up to the coaching staff. It's up to the team. It's up to the doctors to say you're not ready. And if that means you don't get an award, then you don't get an award this year. You'll be all right. If you're one of the greatest players in the league and you don't make all NBA, you don't get MVP consideration because you got hurt, it is what it is. Who wants an MVP that played 50 games? When you got other guys out there playing 80 games, 75 games. Who wants the MVP that played 50 games? Oh, he was hurt, and that's why he didn't, play as many games, blah, blah, blah. I mean, honestly, in my mind, if you're hurt 20 games, 30 games, you shouldn't be MVP anyway. It shouldn't have to be a rule for that. Common sense says if you can't play, how are you going to be the best?
Okay. I know you got a perfect answer, so I'm going to hit you because I want the viewers to get an idea. I'm a player now. If I play X amount of games and I make that team, there goes my bonus. Now I can make an extra whatever $1 million a year.
Okay.
Let's come back with that.
So
not taking my money away from me.
Let's say you make an extra $2 million, right? You're not in Miami. You're not in one of the places where it's tax free. So after taxes, you're gonna probably get $800,000 anyway.
That's it. That's true.
So
That's true.
If you're hurt, sit your hind parts down and get healthy. If you miss the money, it is what it is. It's every year in your contract. Come back next year hungry, get your money, and it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys that are looking at saying, oh, I'm going to get a bonus for being an all-star. I'm going to get a bonus for being all NBA, first team, second team. For the most part, you're going to be there every year. So if you're going to be there every year, if you miss 1 year because of injury, your legacy is not going to be damaged because you're missing out on things because rules had to change to adapt to people deciding we're not going to play, but we want to be paid like we're playing. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Trust me. Somebody that work a regular job, you'll be all right.
Now, cool. Is there anything else you want to bring up?
Not any specific thing, but I just want to say, shout out to everyone who, couldn't make it tonight for whatever the reasons are. But your boys held you down. You know what I'm saying? One of these days we're gonna get Key on. I don't know when, but one of these days
we got to get her on, man. We gotta.
One of these days we're gonna get Key to talk a little basketball with us. But shout out to everybody, man. Everybody in the chat. Oh Lord.
Yeah. There she goes.
We got a 2-second appearance, but yeah, shout out to everybody, man. Appreciate everybody watching this show right here. You know, me and Khan have been on this show from the jump, so it's good to see it, you know, still going, and you know what I'm saying, everything rolling, some fresh blood, some different people in, different hosts, different voice, and all that. But hey, it's still the courtside view. It's still everybody's view from the courtside.
And Koo, you know, I want to publicly thank you, folks. Without my man Koo McCain and Key Williams, I wouldn't have the shows that I have. So I owe a debt of gratitude to you, my man Koo, and I want the world to know how much I care about you and Key for enabling me to do what I do. So I want to give you a shout out, my brother.
I appreciate that, man, but I want you to know that while we may have gave you the opportunity, you're the one that ran with it.
Well, thank you so very much. Well, folks, you know, stay tuned next Friday for the Courtside View. We're hoping we'll have our crew in here and we keep doing the damn thing. Of course, my man Koo McCain, thank you. This is going to be a great show. Y'all tune in for the Courtside View. Y'all have a great night. God bless and take care.
Yes, sir.